Hello, everyone. This is William Armstrong. I'm actually going to cover Disney Channel in part two, but I'm going to actually cover in part two as well Cartoon Network, the TV network I used to watch as a kid. Hopefully, I covered Cartoon Network in part one. Hopefully, I did or didn't. Let me check real quick. Okay, here I am. I decided to cover Cartoon Network Disney Channel in part two. That in part one I showed about how the TV show animated anthology series known as Oh Canada got its debut in America here from Canada. And this is it. This is the Cartoon Network TV channel that was actually created by Ted Turner, who appointed Betty Cohen as the first president of the network. There's a lot to read here that I'm not going to read all of this too much, but I just want to keep it short that the Cartoon Network TV channel showed children's programming ranging from action to animated comedy. It ran from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Pacific Time on Mondays through Saturdays. Time zones vary in America. And it also showed from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Sundays. The sign off time varies with holidays and special programming. Cartoon Network primarily targets children ages 6 to 12, while its early morning block, Cartoonito, is aimed at preschool age children, and nighttime block, Adult Swim, targets older teenagers and young adults aged 18 to 34. Cartoon Network offers an alternate Spanish language audio feed either via a separate channel with the English audio track removed as part of a packaged Spanish language television network sold by subscription providers, or a separate audio track accessible through the SAP option depending on the provider. As of March 2021, Cartoon Network is available to approximately 94 million paid television households in the United States. That's the top part I've read, but there's a lot to cover in this, so I'm gonna have to select certain sections to read out. I'm going to pick certain ones to read into the video and not try to read the full thing in its entirety. It just makes the video way too long than it should be. Okay, I'm gonna read about. Let's see. I'm going to pick and choose what I want to read instead of trying to read the full article in its entirety, making it too long to understand. I'll just cover cartoons on its own. I'll just cover it in this video separate instead of trying to read the first article out. I'm going to actually explain here. Cartoons is a collective name used by Cartoon Network for the original animated television show series originally aired between 1995 and 2003 and produced in majority by Hanna-Barbera and or Cartoon Network Studios, beginning with its inception into cable broadcasting on October 1st, 1992. Cartoon Network had focused its programming on reruns of older animated series which it had acquired through its parent company Films Library. The Cartoons label was originated with Fred Seibert's animation anthology series What a Cartoon, and an animation showcase series featuring pilots of original cartoon ideas submitted by independent animators. Dexter's Laboratory was the first such pilot to be greenlit by the network for a full series in 1996. After other pilots were successfully produced in their own series, including Cow and Chicken, Johnny Bravo, and the Powerpuff Girls, the collective Cartoons was featured on the network's Friday night programming block Cartoon Fridays from 1990 to 2003. Not all CNN original series created around this time were officially recognized as Cartoon. Samurai Jack, for example, did not bear the moniker. The moniker was retired by the network in 2004, and its last surviving series, Ed and Eddie, ended in 2009 after a 10-year run. Since their heyday, reruns of Cartoons continued to air on the Cartoon Show 2005-2008 and Cartoon Planet 2012-2014. In 2021, the name was resurrected by the network for a new shorts program. Another thing I also remember that some people may also remember too is called Cartoon Fridays. Cartoon Fridays was a programming block that aired on Friday nights. It ran from 1999 to 2003. Cartoon Weekend ran from 1997 to 2002. Cartoons ran from 1997 to 2004. So this covered at least everything you can see in this everything you can barely see in the video when it's processed by YouTube, but Cartoons covered everything, and it spawned different programming blocks, such as Cartoons is original, Cartoon Weekend, Cartoon Fridays, Cartoon of the Day, the Saturday morning block, Cartoon Summer, the Cartoon Show, the Big Pick, Cartoon Weeknight, the Cartoon Primetime, the Premiere Show, Cartoon Weekend Summer Picks, the Cartoons Top 5, Cartoons in the morning, Cartoons in the afternoon. That was spawned by Cartoon, the initial incubator of the spin-offs of Cartoons programming block. The Latin America version of Cartoon Fridays used Cartoons. It sounds redundant saying Cartoons like that. It sounds pretty redundant and annoying to say like that, but that's how the way it was branded. What a Cartoon also started back in 1995 and ran until 1997. It basically spawned some additional cartoons, such as Whatever Happened to Robot Jones. Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, also simply known as Robot Jones or WHTRJ, is an American animated television series created by Greg Miller for Cartoon Network. Jordan Fringe on YouTube also covered this as well on his YouTube channel by the name of Jordan Fringe, by the looks of it. He covered it as well. I'll read it. Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, or simply known as Robot Jones or WHTRJ, is an American animated television series created by Greg Miller for Cartoon Network. It follows Robot Jones, a teenage robot who attends a fictional suburban Paulinu middle school in a retro-futuristic 1980s world. Episodes follow Robot Jones researching aspects of human life, including music, facial hair, and gym class. Jones is guided by his three friends, Socks, Mitch, and QB. Robot Jones is often smitten with his crush, Shannon Westberg, a tall young girl with orthodontic headgear and prosthesis. In school, Robot Jones interacts with his teachers, Mr. Mick, Mr. Workout, and Mrs. Raincoat, the principal, Mr. Madman, and janitor Clancy Q. Sleepy Jeans and his arch rivals, Lenny and Denny Yogman, try to sabotage Jones' research by making school more difficult for him. Rob Renzetti directed the pilot, Season 1. Greg Miller did the pilot, Season 1. Steve Saki did Season 2. The voice actors were involved with multiple text-to-speech voices: Bobby Block, Season 2, Gray Delisle, Gary Leroy Gray, and Miles Jeffrey, Kyle Sullivan, Jeff Bennett. Gary Leroy Gray is an American actor who appeared in movies and television animation. The theme music composer is known as the Invisible Car. The opening theme is Do the Robot. Mike Stern was involved with Season 2 as composer. Greg Miller was involved with the first season. This only lasted 2 seasons long. The episodes were 13 and 1 pilot and had 27 segments. Gennady Tartakovsky is involved in the pilot. Diana Ritchie is involved as associate pilot. Rob Renzetti is supervising. Gennady Tartakovsky is a Russian-American actor who produced Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, Star Wars, Clone Wars, Symbionic Titan Primal, and Unicorn Warriors Eternal. If it wasn't for Gennady Tartakovsky, no one in the 90s would not have known what Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, Star Wars, Clone Wars, Symbionic Titan, Hotel Transylvania, and Primal and Unicorn Wars Eternal. If it wasn't for him, no one wouldn't have known what those shows were. He was also a pivotal crew member of the Powerpuff Girls and worked on other series such as Two Stupid Dogs and Batman the Animated Series. If it wasn't for this guy, like Dexter's Lab, all these other shows I've mentioned, if it wasn't for him, no one wouldn't have known what these shows were if it wasn't for this guy. Like, if it wasn't for him, there would have been no Dexter's Lab, no Samurai Jack, no Star Wars, no Symbionic Titan, no Hotel Transylvania, no Primal, and no Unicorn Warriors Eternal. And it wouldn't have been, it still would have not been if it weren't for the Powerpuff Girls, Two Super Dogs, and Batman the Animated Series either. So he helped kickstart some of these animated shows in the 90s himself deliberately. If it wasn't for him, No one wouldn't have known what those shows were if it wasn't for him. Thank you, Gennady Tartakovsky, for that. That made up most of my 90s childhood and Cartoon Network right there. Now, obviously, it says here Miller's first pilot aired on Cartoon Network on June 16, 2000 as part of a Voicer Choice Weekend, a contest in which previously unaired pilots or broadcast reviewers decide which should be given a full series. Even though the Robot Jones pilot ranked second below Grim and Evil in the event, Robot Jones was greenlit for its own series, which premiered on July 19th, 2002. The first season of Robot Jones was created with a Microsoft Word 97 text-to-speech function. Beginning with the second season, Robot Jones's voice was dubbed over by child actor Bobby Block, and reruns of the first season were redubbed with the Block's voiceovers. The series ended on November 14, 2003 after 13 episodes and a pilot. So whatever happened to Robot Jones really didn't get further than seasons 1 and 2 in the pilot. The pilot kickstarted on June 16, 2000 and aired the same year on the same month. So it first aired on June 16th and last aired on the same day. Then it got rebooted again with season 1, 7 episodes long, in July 19th, 2002. Then ran until October 3rd, 2002 for 1 year. Then the pilot started back in 2000 summer, but in season 2 it had 6 episodes that were produced in October 10, 2003, and then lasted until fall 2003 and ended by fall 2003. So it ended then. So these are all the episodes of the series. The segments were split indirectly into 2 different segments as 2 different segments into 1 episode. So essentially had 2 different ones airing simultaneously, like 2 different segments. The first and second segments into 1. Some of these had 3 segments. The first 3 rather. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 had 2 segments, but the later ones began getting, this particular one began getting 3 segments. The later seasons began sticking with the 2-segment version, but just that one had at least 3 segments. It says here, after production ceased Robot Jones, it aired in syndication before being removed from Cartoon Network's schedule, but episodes were available online on Cartoon Network Video for a short period. From 2005 to 2006, Robot Jones reran sporadically on the Cartoon Show, along with segments of other cartoons from that time period. Reruns began on Cartoon Network's Latin American sister network Tooncast in 2015. It had also been added to the local version of HBO Max in 2022. Robot Jones made a cameo appearance on the OKKO Let's Be Heroes episode of Crossover Nexus that aired on October 8, 2018, along with other Cartoon Network characters from the current and ended shows. This marks the first appearance of Robot Jones' character since the show's cancellation, and the first time since the first season where the character's voice was provided by the Microsoft Word 97 text-to-speech program Voice. My Life as a Teenage Robot, I'll cover that in part 3 with Nickelodeon only. And I'll combine part 4 into part 3 with PBS Kids shows I used to watch back then from my childhood, what my childhood was like watching TV shows. So I'll cover Cartoon Network, some shows in Cartoon Network in part 2, Disney Channel part 2, but in part 3, PBS Kids and Nickelodeon in part 3. This will be broken up into parts instead of one long video to help save time. So I'll cover Disney Channel in part 2 and then end it after that, end the video afterwards. So let's go to Disney Channel. I'll take you to Disney Channel. Some of these shows you might remember too when you were growing up. It says here, Disney Channel is an American pay television channel that serves as a flagship property of Disney branded television and a unit of the Disney Entertainment Division of the Walt Disney Company. Disney Channel started up on April 18th, 1983, 40 years ago, and its former names were the Disney Channel 1983 to 1997. But ironically, it still uses Disney Channel, the name Disney Channel, but they dropped the part after 1997 and just renamed it to Disney Channel. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this, but Disney Channel was available worldwide internationally, but it later actually created a Disney Now website app hybrid product. There were 46 Disney channels available in 33 languages worldwide, but some have either shut down or declined in viewership since 2016 in parts of Europe and most of the Asia Pacific due to the rise of social media and streaming media platforms, as well as the successful launch of Disney Plus in certain countries and regions and territories from 2020 onward. Disney Plus caused Disney Channel International to shut down, meaning certain Disney channels, well, most Disney Channel International channels from France, from Ireland, UK, France, Scotland, and or Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Latin America, most of those shut down due to the launch of Disney Plus, which is why that happened. But I'm going to go to the international portion of it. It says here, Disney Channel has established its presence in various regions across the Americas, most of Europe, the Middle East, Africa, India, and Japan. Channels are also available in Australia, New Zealand, Italy, United Kingdom, Ireland, Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Turkey, but ceased broadcast in the early 2020s with most content moving to Disney+. On December 14th, 2022, Disney ceased its distribution of programs in Russia in response to the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. Disney Channel also licenses programming to air on certain other broadcast and cable channels outside the United States, formerly including the Family Channel in Canada, regardless of whether or not a localized channel feed already exists in that country. So Disney Channel partnered with the Family Channel in Canada to distribute certain programming in Canada with a license. And speaking of which, Naturally Sadie, a Canadian TV show, actually premiered in America through Disney Channel, the partnership with Family Channel. Family Channel is only limited to Canada, but it was available nationwide. It also was available in Jamaica, previously available in the Bahamas until September 2020. It was discontinued in Jamaica and Bahamas in 2020. And its owner is WildBrain. Teleimagino is sister channel in WildBrain TV. So WildBrain, formerly known as DHX Media, 2006 to 2019, formerly known as DHX Media, but then in 2019 it changed to WildBrain Limited. So WildBrain is the new brand. The former brand was known as DHX Media. Things like that. Decode Entertainment, or DHX Media Toronto, was a former company that went defunct 2011, 12 years ago. It merged with Halifax Film Company, and its successor was DHX Media, and WildBrain replaced DHX Media altogether. So I do remember Decode Entertainment Inc. that produced programming such as Naturally Sadie, things like that. Let's see. Braceface is a Canadian TV show as well. I'm trying to check to see about Naturally Sadie that I used to watch back in 2001. Yep, here it is. This is Naturally Sadie that aired from 2005 to 2007 on the Family Channel. It also made its way to America, to Disney Channel, but it ran for 3 seasons, so it's 3 seasons long. And it ran from 2005 to 2007. It was 3 seasons. Its broadcast is done in Canada on Family Channel and VRAC TV outside of Canada. The series aired in 90 markets and was broadcast on Disney Channel in the United States. ABC in Australia and France too also picked it up too. Nickelodeon Australia, Nickelodeon Italy, Nickelodeon Israel, Nickelodeon Scandinavia, Nickelodeon Spain, Nickelodeon Asia, Nickelodeon Germany also picked up Naturally Sadie 2 to air too. It's called VRAC TV, or VRAC, or VRAC. It's a Canadian French language specifically channel owned by Bell Media. The channel primarily broadcasts live action programming aimed at youth audiences. It's in Canada, but it's nationwide and it's headquartered in Montreal, Quebec. Or Quebec. Former names were known as Le Canal Familier, 1988 to 1995. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. My French is a little rusty. Canal Familier launched in 1995-2001, and Virac TV launched in 2001-2014. Its official website is in French, not in English. It replaced TVJQ. Okay, it's going to translate because it is French-based, so it's going to translate. TVJQ, or Television des Jeunes du Québec, was a Quebec youth television channel owned by Videotron. Obviously, my French is very rusty, so I apologize for pronouncing some stuff in French. My French is a little rusty. I apologize for that. There is Astral Media, a Canadian media company, a Super Ecran, which is a Canadian French language premium TV network, and YOOPA, or YOOPA, is a Canadian paid television channel aimed at kids too in Canada. There are some Canadian TV shows that have been exported to the US, and some US shows have been exported up to Canada too. They kind of have been cross-aired each across countries. Now, Disney Channel picked up Naturally Sadie and distributed here in the US. Australia got it through ABC in Australia, and France too. It also was shown in international Nickelodeon channels too. Naturally Sadie had a Best of Complication DVD released on May 11, 2010 in the United States and Canada by Video Services Corp, or VSC. The DVD contains 13 episodes over 2 discs from seasons 1 and 2. It says here, in Australia, 2 volumes of season 1 have been released by distributor Roadshow. The first volume, titled Forest Where the Trees, contains episodes 1 to 6 and was released on June 1st, 2011. The second volume, titled Best of Enemies, contains episodes 7 through 12 and was released on December 2nd, 2011. The episodes are in their original widescreen aspect ratio. There are no plans to release the rest of the episodes at the moment. So that's the gist of what I used to watch back like in early 2003 and 2001 with Naturally Sadie and Disney Channel back then. There's way more to this I've never seen. I've seen some Canadian TV shows myself, whether it be through Amazon, Prime Video, Netflix, things like that. Chop Socky Chooks aired on Teletoon and in America too. It ran on Cartoon Network Europe and ran on Cartoon Network America from 7th March 2008 until 24th July 2009. Note that Wikipedia, most articles use the European date format, meaning date, month, and year, while America uses the month, date, year format. Australia and Europe use the date, month, year format in reverse. So some Wikipedia articles are using that format, no matter where you view it from on the internet. Okay. Chop Socky Chooks is an older TV show that I never really watched. Back in early 2007, it did originate from Cartoon Network UK and Teletoon Canada, but it ran from 2007 to 2008. It ran about 2 years. I'll explain what this is, the gist of it. It says the show previously aired on Cartoon Network throughout the United Kingdom and the United States. It did air in the US and UK and much of the world, as well as Teletoon in Canada and ABC3 in Australia. The name is from Chop Socky, which is slang for the Asian martial arts film genre, and Chook, which is an Australian New Zealand slang for reference for chicken. That's what that is. That's how Chop Socky Chooks got its name. Things like that. It was season 1, only lasted 1 season, and it had 26 episodes only. It didn't really last that long past 1 season. Ouch. So there are some TV shows that I used to watch as a kid that didn't really last long, and some did go long running. Arthur by Mark Brown, the TV show on PBS Kids, I'll cover in part 3, actually ran longer until 2022 when PBS and WGBH announced that Arthur was at its season finale at its very last season and was not going to make any new episodes anymore. Decode Entertainment is an acronym of the combination of the names Deneur, Court, and D-Image. That's how Decode Entertainment got its actual name for it. The Wild Brain logo can still be seen on some Amazon Prime Video TV shows such as Naturally Sadie, shown as Wild Brain, the new logo though. This is Ragdoll UK Limited that actually started directly. I'm going down a retro rabbit hole as well. I'll cover part 3, but since it's getting 5 a.m. Eastern time, I'm going to want to go ahead and lay down, and I will see y'all in part 3. Till next time, I'm William Armstrong.